Hello, welcome back to class. I'm your host, Cheng Lo. You're here because I assume you've already visited the website www.awe-edu.com, or you can simply go to your search engine and type in Academy of Wisdom and Enlightenment, and it usually pops up pretty early on. Click on AWE. You'll arrive at the home page and you'll recognize it by the familiar little theme song of the Academy. Now, you can either go to syllabus and click on 2016, or simply click directly to A Matter of Life and Death right at the home page, and it will take you to Year 1, Syllabus 2016, Lecture Series 1, A Matter of Life and Death. So I assume you have already watched 1.1, my welcome video, and have proceeded to watch the lecture by Dr. Bruce Greyson on consciousness independent of the brain. I've also posted learning objectives for Dr. Greyson's lecture. So today, we're going to review the lessons learned from Dr. Greyson's lecture and a preamble to the next episode. So let's begin today, which is episode 1.3. In today's episode, we're still under the big heading of lecture series number 1, A Matter of Life and Death, but I will have 3 things to go over today. First, we're going to go over some of the learning objectives and provide answers. Secondly, I'm going to tell you a very interesting story about the first woman emperor in China. And finally, I'll do some introduction to the next episode, which is an excellent debate on whether death is final or not. So to begin, the learning objective 1.2 from my last lecture, I asked you to contemplate on these 2 points. How many independent lines of evidence did Dr. Greyson provide that proves consciousness is independent of the brain? And the second learning objective is, what are the scientific credentials of Professor Greyson and his institution? The first learning objective, consciousness independent of the brain. Dr. Greyson provided at least 4 independent scientific lines of investigation. The first one is rebirth. There are some very incredible accounts of children accurately recalling their past life in great detail. They can go to their home village for previous lives. They know the exact location, recognize the relatives, and describe the cause of death from the previous life. Now, the second line of scientific evidence is near-death experience. Some incredible, unequivocal accounts are people who were blind at birth, during their NDE, regain full sight in color. The third line of evidence is normal consciousness in people with minimal brain. One of the shocking examples is a person with 95% hydrocephalic, and therefore only 5% of functional brain tissue, and yet he's a graduate student in mathematics. The final line of study are called terminal lucidity, and that refer to people who were deteriorating mentally due to sickness. But in 70% of the cases, just before the time of dying, at the deathbed, they become very lucid and have full recovery of the lost consciousness during the period leading up to their death. So these are some of the very shocking evidence that Dr. Greyson provides. The second objective is, what are the credentials of these researchers? First of all, let's look at the credential of the institution. This work is done at the University of Virginia, Department of Psychiatry and Neurobehavioral Science. And I highly recommend you visit their website. They have loads of information that contribute a lot of knowledge into these areas. What is the credentials of the researcher? The lecturer, Professor Greyson. He is Professor of Psychiatric Medicine. He is Professor Emeritus of Psychiatry and Neurobehavioral Science. Former Director and Division of Perceptual Study, University of Virginia. Devoted his life in near-death experience research with over 80 presentations, publications in some of the top medical journals recognized worldwide, such as the Lancet, which is a British medical journal, and the United States New England Journal of Medicine. Who founded the institution? Well, this is the story of the three sons, Carlson, Stevenson, and Greyson. In the mid-1960s, Mr. Chester Carlson, a physicist himself, invented the Xerox machine, and that invention made him rich and famous. Now, of course, there are many philanthropists, but Mr. Carlson has the wisdom to invest his funding to establish a brand new institution in the University of Virginia. You need someone credible and capable to head this new division. So Professor Ian Stevenson resigned from the chair of Department of Psychiatry to head this new division, and has devoted his entire life on the study of rebirth. A student of Dr. Stevenson, Dr. Bruce Greyson, was trained as a psychiatrist, worked under his mentor, Professor Stevenson, and was appointed as division head after Dr. Stevenson's retirement in 2002. Noteworthy is that both Professor Stevenson and Professor Greyson gave up their lucrative medical degree as a psychiatrist in order to pursue higher truth for humanity. So that is very respectable. Now, what has that got to do with the first woman emperor in China? During that dynasty, there was a beautiful concubine. Her name is Wu Zetian. First, she was a concubine, and she was beloved by the emperor, so she was made queen. And eventually, she became the first female emperor of China. Now, can you imagine, in those days, women are second-class citizens. They have no place. So you can imagine what kind of wisdom and capability Wu Zetian has to become the first woman emperor in China. Remarkably, she instituted the imperial teacher position and appoint Buddhist monks to sit in this chair as imperial teacher to teach all the royal bloods. During a period of time when Taoism and Confucianism is deeply rooted in China. So this is revolutionary. As a great supporter of Buddhism, she really wanted to understand the true meaning of Buddhism. And she wrote this poem, which I loosely translate in English as the unsurpassed, profound, and intricate dharma is very difficult to encounter even over hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now that I've seen and heard the Dharma, I behold and uphold what the Dharma offers. I wish to understand the true meaning of Tathagata. So there may be a couple of vocabularies for some of the audience, kalpa and Tathagata. Kalpa simply means a long, long time. In Hinduism it's 4.3 billion years. In Buddhism it's about 16 million years. So anyway, it just means eons and eons of long time. And the word Tathagata, there's 3 levels of understanding. The ordinary level just means the Buddha himself. The intermediate level is, according to the Sanskrit root of the word, means one who has thus gone, Tathagata, or one who has thus come, Tathagata. In the advanced level, Tathagata means transference between metaphysical and physical realms. Now, today we have a vocabulary like metaphysical and physical. 2,000–3,000 years ago, we don't have that vocabulary. So it got you coming and going and coming and going, which would be a very clumsy way of Buddha calling himself coming and going, coming and going, right? So the concept is actually physical, metaphysical transference. So you may say, okay, is that such an exaggeration that true information is so difficult to come by? Yes, indeed. And I'll get to that point in a minute. But first, let me say that Wu Ji-Ten's poem is so influential and loved that all of the subsequent sutra printed in China begins with her poem. And every reader of every sutra will read this poetry to remind the reader how precious it is, how difficult it is to encounter valuable information in pursuit of the truth. Just like in this case, we have Chester Carlson, who donated his money not to ordinary charity, but to form a brand new institution at the university in order to study this life and death phenomenon. And you need someone like Dr. Stevenson, who's willing to give up his lucrative and reputable position as chair of psychiatry to venture into this brand new open field of unknown. And then you need successors courageous enough to carry on and expand on these studies, like Dr. Greyson. And this is the only institution in the world devoted to such studies. Therefore, we are deeply grateful for these kind of selfless people who rise to the challenge of a higher call of humanity. So, that completes our learning objective. And in the next episode, I would like you to watch a debate. The motion of the debate is death is not final. I promise you it will be an exciting debate. For the motion is Dr. Alexander, an academic neurosurgeon at Harvard Medical School, who have experienced a personal near-death experience in 2008. His partner is Dr. Raymond Moody, who is the father and founder of the NDE studies, a medical psychiatrist who earned his doctorate in philosophy before he would go into medical school. His 1975 book, Life After Life, has sold over 13 million copies. Against the motion is a physics professor from Caltech and a neurologist and professor at Yale School of Medicine. So you can see it's an exciting lineup. one of the debate of the century, I would think. To help you get the most out of that debate, again, I will propose 2 learning objectives. First, how come the losing side lost? And secondly, who committed the logical fallacy of moving the goalpost, but the entire audience bought his powerful fallacy? So I will leave you, for now, at our 2016 syllabus with the hyperlink to the Death is Not Final debate, and a transcript of that debate is also hyperlinked on my website. So enjoy the debate. I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye.